Hello, welcome to another episode of Get Rich and Fit Tryin. So after a couple trials and errors, we finally got everything right. So now we're going to go ahead and get right to it. I'll see you on the other side. Let's go. Alright, good morning, my neighbors. Welcome to another episode of Get Rich and Fit Tryin. We're going to go ahead and get right to it. I am running behind because of technical difficulties, so we're going to just get right to it. Let's just jump right to the news real fast on what to expect for today. There is existing home sales coming at 10 o'clock, so to be honest, we probably don't want to trade before 10 o'clock because that could probably be a catalyst to kind of move the market around a little bit. And then we got ourselves oil inventory and the 20-year bond at 1 o'clock, so that could probably put a little bit of a catalyst. So let's go ahead and get right into the chart. Right now, this is what we're relatively dealing with. Actually, hold on, pause for a second. Let me make sure I have all my counts set up the way I want to. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, it looks good. We're gonna run with that account. Alright, so let's go ahead and put that back to the screen. Let's see what the market has for us. Make sure my mic is right. I think I got all my mics right. Is this mic right? Yep, that looks good. Okay. First thing is, you already know when you come over to Get Rich and Fit Tryin, the first thing we're doing, we are playing the opening range. We are bouncing off of an order block, which I kind of marked off over here. And they're trying their best to kind of hold this thing above there. So we're going to go ahead. And again, opening range does not have to be predicated to just NQ. Everything has an opening range because the market pretty much adjusts their positions in the morning itself, as they get in and out of their trades or positions or whatever the case may be, especially when you're talking about hedge funds and other market makers. Let me see, my Robinhood is set up. Let me go ahead and get that bad boy over here. Get into my E-Trade just in case I see something that I like. Got okay, very interesting. All right, Upstart, I see you. What price are you trading at right now? Let me see. It's at $82, which is solid. Let's see if it can get up into that $100 area. That would be great. Got my QQQ set up over here. Put you there instead. I need you out my way. That's you there. Interesting. Do I have that one set up? Yep, I do. Let's fix that problem. Alright, that's that. Alright, so our opening range is still set. We got like 7 more minutes left on this before it actually decides what it really wants to do with itself. UNH is holding up. Lockheed Martin is trying to recover. TMUSA is falling. Where's Tesla? Tesla is just flat. City's still going up. It got to 95. SoFi is trying to give it a bounce again. Meta's up. Netflix, like I said, I think Netflix could get to like 1100. I think I said that yesterday. I don't know if I said it on this show or the other one. So let's see what happens there. All right, let's go ahead and minimize that. Let's focus on NQ. Real quick, we're gonna run through oil. Oil's got his oil inventory. I'm gonna go ahead and put a range here just out of curiosity to see how that pans out on that. Same thing with gold. I think gold is probably just chilling for the most part, especially how it kind of looked like it was putting that pennant. And they pretty much pushed it back on down, so we're going to see what happens with those three. I think that's what we're going to focus on, gold and oil. I need you here, and I need you here, and I need you open. No, we're not going to run that strategy right now. Let me turn that off. Get rid of all my drawings here. Actually, you know what? Yes, we are going to run that strategy. Let's bring in IR. 30-minute IR was solid. Longest cleared. 2 hour. Interesting. Yeah, short. Oh, jeez. I hate when they do that. Leave my thing alone. Alright, we're on 78. So what I'm probably going to do is probably be on a very higher leverage on this trade in itself. Looking for this thing to kind of continue to this upside. I think we're going to probably drift its way up as we're waiting for Tesla. And whose earnings was today? Hold on. Let me grab my trusty list. Today's earnings tonight we have Google, Tesla, and T-Mobile that I'm keeping an eye on. So that's going to be energetic and fun. We'll see how that pans out. We got 3 minutes. We'll go take a peek at Upstart because I have a small position. Oh, what is going on here? This thing taking its sweet time. Thank you. Let's go. Interesting gap up, hitting the brakes at 82. Looking like we're kind of having ourselves a solid trend. Again, one of my major trends doing a cross. I want to see it get to 98. It needs to test that 96 and such. I think we could get there. And then we can move this trend line down. Alright, back to NQ. Enough of that. Oh man, this thing's still running a little slow. I usually and then right back to my tickers. This thing is taking a sweet time trying to find all my stuff. Ooh. So what are we going to be looking for? We're probably going to be looking for a pop-up for the most part. And then probably a massive drop later on in that afternoon-ish. Let me see, I got news over there. And I want to have... You know what? I'll go check out my Thinkorswim. Because Meta is making some moves. Let's see what's going on over on their side. Yeah, flattish. Very flattish. Kind of like splitting my money across that way. I don't feel too handicapped. See, you can just go ahead and expand and then this back and that look better. And that's why I hate when I have technical difficulties. I've been trying to clean up on my structure, get it all in order. All right, so got a minute and 22 seconds left. Let's see how this pans out. Let's see on the days. Just to kind of clear the noise, let's get rid of that. This was the right candle. So we already at the 618 there. When we spiked up into 268, it kind of scared some of the bulls a little bit. They're not happy about that. So I might look for a recovery off of this order block if this thing fails to let this H fall all the way through. You can kind of see strange dangers where everything is being reloaded at this point. All right, my alert just came in letting me know that dominance is already set on the 15-minute and the 45-minute. Ooh, could they be hitting us to the downside again like they did yesterday? Are we gonna get a repeat? Let's see if we do. Need a 5-minute close below for us to get that. I'm leaning on no, because things do repeat itself, but I think when we touch that 618, we make things a little complicated for it. Bear with me. I'm trying to find my charger for my camera's battery pack. Actually, you know what? Perfect. I could just use this. All right, a minute in, looks like a pure dump. Let's see if they give it a follow through. We got 3 minutes and 26 seconds to see if we're going to get a nice little confirmation close below. That's what we're going to be looking for. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and the bell button for those that's watching over YouTube. Okay, something's not right. This was just working like 2 seconds ago. Bear with me, we're waiting the 3 minutes left. Almost done with that 5 minute. Get our confirmation to the downside. Okay. Alrighty. Looks like we're getting a little bit of a bounce here. That's why I was saying that I have a feeling that we could give it a bounce, being that we're on this order block. 1 minute morning star here, kind of getting that little reprieve. Um, should we take it up to that 200? We could, just to kind of have some fun, but it's a risky one. I don't see where we would be building it off of. They liquidated shorts over there. They liquidated shorts over there. And this could be to buy the dip here. But they had liquidated along the same thing on the 30-minute. That's the part that's I'm confused about a little bit. That's why I don't want to play it up. So yeah, I'm gonna sit back a little bit again and kind of watch this. Let's go back to the 5-minute. Oh, we're already there. Okay, we're already at the 5-minute. That was a good long move right there. 41 seconds left. Probably come back to the VWAP. VWAP is sitting at 232. All right, 12 seconds, and we're going to officially close inside of here. If this gives me a nice little signal for the upside, I might do something light leverage. Actually, let me lower that leverage now. Something to really attack that 23,200, because this could be a morning star on the 5-minute now. All right, they're trying to liquidate here. They're coming into the wick of that long push-up. We just went ahead and broke out of the bottom of that opening range. This could be a tweezer bottom here. Let's see if it gives us a shallow move where it doesn't look like they're gonna drop it and they're gonna bounce it. Kind of something like this with a stop loss like this. If we could get through what was their attempt to kind of like liquidate, could probably, let me see if it does it. Just looking, because I think we could get back to the VWAP, which is around that 232 area. That's what I'm looking at. All right, I'm gonna put a stop here because I think they're trying to liquidate folks. And if that's the case, they'll pick up an order over there. Don't be difficult now. Getting back to that 223, and after that 223, 232, and now we bring us back to VWAP. If we could grab more of that sell side liquidity, now that we're kind of like building this like base type of action here, we could get that 5 minute to really put in that morning star with some strength and see if it happens on this last minute. Looks like it's running out of steam, but I think it should be fine. It's that part that they kind of bait you thinking that it's going to go ahead and fall down, but they really put in the morning star. Just depends if all those bears just start to cash out their puts. You got 29 seconds. A little risky with the 10 o'clock news coming in. Alright, double doji continuation maybe, so we're going to go ahead and cancel the idea and see what the first part of this is going to do. And 205 to taking that. I'd rather get close to break even than to kind of give it all away. Not liking the fact that this 5 minute candle was an inside bar. Also, the fact is, when it's all said and done, we are literally waiting on this, and we're probably consolidating until this one releases, which is new home sales. Fuel inventory is right after, so they're probably sitting on their hands right now on the cash. So probably just no players in there. So quick little $100 is okay. And if I had like $300-400, I would risk it to play it through that news release. But no, we ain't doing that. Not for $100. That $100 can go ahead and take all your lunch money really fast. Am I on? Yeah, I am. Did I set up the wrong link for my Zoom, folks? I don't think so. I think I did the right one. Oh, you know what? I probably didn't disable. That's why. That's why I didn't disable host. My bad. Have he was on here, and I forgot to let the room go. We still had the waiting room. My fault, Harvey. I left the waiting room on. I was so locked. I had the computer issues, so I was so focused on it I didn't realize I didn't turn it off. My fault. Mm-hmm. Yeah, discounts all over. I have Coney. I'm not too upset with them. It pays dividends. I just wish that I used that as my second fill up instead of me, because after Tesla I went to Amazon and Nvidia. Those are the two I did. I should have went Coney with their exposure to Bitcoin. That would have been a smarter move. I believe it. Should be. I do believe in dollar cost averaging, so yeah, I would probably lean on that direction. That shouldn't be a problem. Okay. want to say dividends should be coming soon on one of them. Is it Coney? It might be Coney. Hold on, I'm gonna check right now. So we just did Nvidia, not right after Tesla. So it's Coin, Amazon, so Tesla. Yeah, after Nvidia. So next week, I believe they're gonna be paying their dividends. Uh-oh, here comes the 5 minute close below again. There goes the timber. 25 seconds. I think I want to put a small position, but that new home sales is making me pause for a second. Even though it's not tech related, I don't want to jump in while news comes out. That's what's making me pause. We just made lower lows inside of this order block. All right, just made a lower low. Someone just take a first stab at it here. Let's see what happens. Using that $100 that I just got for free not too long ago. Let's see if there's a target that they're looking for. Probably this entire wick that we just bounced off of, maybe here. Oh yeah, I forgot we did have the news. Let me go over that news real quick. And so it is what? What does that mean? Oh, bearish for the dollar. Hold on. Let me take this $200 off. Bearish for the dollar. That means we could rally something vicious. Let's switch the screen over. Oh, wrong one. This one. We could rally. That will make things interesting. All right, let me bring back the 5 minute again. Yeah, that's Misty. Yeah. I would say, I would say for the most part, I like Coney more than MSTY because MSTY is solely Bitcoin by itself. If Bitcoin pulls back and Ethereum goes up, then that I think Coney is going to benefit more. Yeah, why don't you just do either 20 every week or 25 every week? Oh, got you, and just buy one shot. Okay, I feel you. Yeah, yeah, of course. I was gonna short this because this is the opening range, but I didn't like the fact that the news came in bearish and it was pulling back on me at the same time. Oh, don't tell me you're gonna do this sideways crap. I don't see anything really that makes me want to short it. I don't see anything that tells me I want to take it to the upside. Right now, in total, we are down another $100 or so. Overnight, I took a couple of trades. I was down like $600. I was looking for New York to kind of come clean up the overnight mess. Okay. Oh, you did a transfer? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting downtrend. Ever since this pop up for the range, they really this is almost like a daily 618 rejection that I'm starting to think that they're trying to put in here. Can they grab the liquidity and reverse this? I'm still thinking possibly bullish. Actually, let me go check the dollar. Let me see what the dollar is doing. The dollar is looking like it wants to drop. And this is that pivot that we could get to. If we break under this pivot, we're gonna rally something vicious. Lot of chop, lot of chop. I may step in with a market order for this upside if this thing breaks above 181. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now you have Bitcoin exposure with those two stocks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. YMAG. Yeah, that'd be cool. All right. Let me look at the. Yeah, in the vidi. I'd be saying the vidi. That's a good. I like I like the YMAG for the weekly dividends because that's pretty cool to get weekly dividends. I manufactured my weekly dividend, so I kind of like that for that. The YMAG and YMAX, those two, if I'm not mistaken. Hold on, let me go. YMAG. Yeah, yeah. The G is a weekly, and I think YMAX is the other one. That one is a weekly also. So both of them are weekly. And then ULTY. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, YMAG and then ULTY utility. Yeah, that one's another weekly one. So if you want something weekly, then that will be your go-to. If you want something that you want to kind of like, well, Nvidia, I think at the end of the day, it's gonna always go up. So that's why that's tempting. I might be taking a call here. Looking for us to break that top off and see if we can get through the opening range again. Probably going to be considering some of these buy stop areas up here. And this is a good point too over here at 201, but that's going to be psychological rejection too. So somewhere around here too. And then I think this fair value gap is where everybody's attacking, so probably here, 232. Yeah, I had a feeling they were going to do that. Using that opening range as a rejection point. Let's see if it gets rid of my pivot here. Let's see if we can get back in that 185 again with this move. I wanted to play the opening range, but with this chop and knowing that we're on top of an order block, especially a strong daily order block, I want to see, can this order block be strong enough to push us right back up to the top? Almost like this is an area that, since there's some earnings coming up, this is where they're filling up for Google, filling up for Tesla, and see how this is going to play out. But again, this thing can fall right to the bottom also. So let's see if it holds the pivot. If it doesn't hold the pivot, then I'll just adjust accordingly. Oh, and that's the area I was like, nope. Okay, so I gave that shot. That's what I would want to see at that point, but y'all not gonna go sit there and just liquidate me here. Alright, so that's long close. We're probably gonna get a strong push to the downside here. It's gonna get choppy. That's gonna be the trickier part of all of this, because this wick has proven to be a place of bounce. If not, we're probably gonna have to wait a bit and let the chop pan out. I'm gonna try to get this short here. I love when you take a short or a call and it just puts you right into profits. Let's see if it holds. Showed me a 80. Like I said, there's that bullish order block. You see how tough this is? Look how they just reversed it, knowing that they just made lower lows and we could have easily just filled this entire wick. They do not want to see that wick filled. Ah, that's not what I tried to do, but I'll take it anyways. I was trying to get it at a better price than what I just got it at, and they gave me a terrible one. Terrible, terrible price. Yeah, look at this. Yeah, I knew when I took a bad price that they was gonna do something funky here. Look at this. Yeah, let me see if I could get in the hundreds and then I'll get out of this position. Ah, nope. And they're about to get to my pivot. Yeah, I know, right? It's hilarious, right, Avi? Let's see if I can at least survive the pivot. Let's see if they reject it off of it. Okay, I think I might be okay. I'm gonna lower it back down because of that. Ugh, I should just closed it out. Now they took out the pivot. Ugh, that just is tough. They are being difficult on this order block. You would think that if we're breaking here with a nice curl down here on the 45-minute, we'll just go right through. But I think what's happening now, after making such a major move, they were trying to accumulate more for this 2 hour move. But we're already here. I think we're fighting against those that want to flip this back to bullish on the 2 hour, which is very possible. And they're going to try to grab some of that liquidity. And right now, so out of the 2K I made yesterday, I'm down 1K in its totality for this New York session, not counting the overnight. I wanted to be bullish, but it was too choppy, way too choppy. So I'm thinking you're going to get a follow through for the opening range and you're going to go ahead and engulf the previous candle. That's just disrespectful. So right now, I think we're building an order block. Let me see, is that, nope, that's not done yet. No, that's not that. Almost back into that range. That's what I wanted. I wanted to get back inside of that range. But you've sold off here before. So I almost want to start selling in here, even though that the 5 minutes turned up like that. Kind of reminds me of Friday last week. I don't know if you remember how we kind of like went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Looking like we're going to get to the 200. It don't get to the 200. You got your shares? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm going to see if we can get this rejection off of the opening range base and see if we can drop down something a little cool. That's all you had for me? Can you give me some more? I think so. Cool. Oh, you told me. Yeah. Yeah, you did. Yeah. He only does crypto? Oh, I know he's killing it on crypto because crypto's going crazy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he was doing a lot of forex when he was teaching us. So, uh, Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. I got like $1,000 on this move down. Let's go. Talking about cleaning up on aisle three. Let's go. Well, we rejected from the opening range already this morning, so I was looking forward to just go ahead and continue that same trend. So I kind of follow suit with what the market was doing on the cycle. This is a bullish order block that was already here. I want to see if we can break through it since I haven't moved my stop. But this is kind of like um, how Mike kind of looks at it with the levels, and he just anticipates that the levels is going to reject it anyways, no matter what the market is already doing. If this thing can do one more dump, ha, it won't do it. It's trying to come for my stop loss. I can see it. I can see them coming back for it. If I could get a lower low here, they're buying. You see how they buy the dip? You see how they kept on like boom, 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 boom? Come on. Get through that block. That doji order block. Come on. Talking about a block right there. That's a massive block. You see how they shot it? Mm-hmm. I was about to tighten my stop if we gave one more low. Massive move back up to the upside. Kind of put in like a, almost like a head and shoulder on this tiny time frame. Beam, beam, beam. Oh, we'll see how that goes. Still think they're gonna short the crap out of this thing. Let me see what's going on with Google now. Yeah, Google's still holding its weight. Let's see Tesla. Tesla's still holding its weight. Meta's giving things back. That's the one that's being a jerk right now. All right, so I cleaned up quite a bit on that one. That was about 1K of a move. I took about 700. Probably could have took the whole 1200 when I kept on playing with that base, but you never know. That they break the base, that they probably would have gave me like another grand, maybe two, using four minis. Mhm. 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 Yeah. You talk about Elliott waves? Yeah. Mhm. 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 Yeah. Mhm. I understand. Mhm. No, of course. To kind of put it all together and how you can like make a strategy through it. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Nah, it's being able to, because it's the crash between really understanding and the crash with, okay, now which one is valid and which one is not. So that's where the doubt kind of sits in the middle of it. So what you want to kind of do is, all right, I'm expecting this and this, and then build the confluences around it. And as long as you could see the confluences and it creates a pattern with the confluences, then you'll feel more comfortable with it. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. This one here, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good movement. Yeah, that's a whole leg. This would be your A to a, well, 1 to 2. That's not Elliott wave is 1 2 3 4 5, and then ABC correction. So it'll be one, and then this would be your two. So two can go 382, and if I remember, I can't remember what his name. He used to do Elliott waves, but how he explained it, he wants it to come inside the golden zone inside of here, and that will be leg two. Mm-hmm. Uh, there is a little bit. There's an order block from around here. Uh, the 50 EMA is almost to the 618. So depending on how long it takes to get there, the 50 EMA would be inside of the zone. Um, it just depends. Stranger Danger is in there. Absolutely. And I like how you just broke that down from an Elliott wave theory, right? Because again, it's a theory because it's very subjective because it requires confluence. It's not a theory because there's no real science because you can't put it on top of everything, right? So what's going to end up happening, and I'm going to talk about it from a psychological standpoint, right? People that play 50 EMAs, they're probably like, oh man, this is way too far. I gotta wait for it to retest to my 50 EMA before I can play it. So you're gonna wait for them. And then you got the people that's like, oh man, Stranger Danger. I don't take any trades that's outside of Stranger Danger. Everything got to revert back to its means. I love putting Stranger Danger because it reminds me of Bollinger Band, Calendar Channels, and everything else. And then you're gonna get those that are doing golden zones from legs, and they're gonna be like, "Oh man, as long as it doesn't touch the 618, I'm gonna put my stop loss right past the 618, and I'm gonna look for it to kind of go down into this level, and that will be the second leg." And then anyone that steps in anywhere from the 382 to the 50%, even over the 786, they're always attacking lows because that's the lower high to the lower low. So for example, this right here will have to take until what, 10:30, 11 o'clock before it gets inside of the golden zone if they're going to respect this downtrend line. So now you got to look at it in the perspective of, what about the ones that do the two candle trends? And this is my two candle trend setup, right? This one right here, it's going to be a nice little rejection off that 216. That's the other part. So it's the whole entire confluence is everybody else's psychology thrown into one pot and anticipated that it's going to push down. So it is a good reversal point, high probability, but again, we could be building a accumulation right here and it just flies right through it. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ex- exactly. It's like you imagining that people. If I was them, I'll put my stop loss right here. Just like everybody that's on this trend, they're putting their stop loss on each of these candles. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly. So if you're playing the upside, your stop loss is down here. Yep. So that's going to be a target, and everybody that's piling in on top of the fact that, let's just say this is a market maker like J.P. Morgan Chase just stepped into here. You being the second here, hedge fund, this one, and then the retailers are starting to realize it because the retailers only get enough into like some type of attack, like this order block here, this 382, this 50%. You put all that together, as long as it respects the trend, stay in it. If it doesn't, then that means there's less buyers. No one's buying at these high prices, and you want to start to get your way out. You see how this trend line is starting to break down? This is a deviation of the original trend line. This doesn't mean that the upside is over. This is just saying that this current upside is going to be in the middle of a pullback. And right now we're on top of the we're on top of the bearish line that was supposed to be our drop for opening range. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Until it breaks. Oh, well, for just so don't look at it like that. How I look at it, it takes an uptrend, a micro uptrend to beat a major downtrend. So right now, the major trend for this sample size, just this area, is we're in a downtrend. It's pulling down, right? So if it's pulling down, then that means any micro uptrend, just like this was a micro uptrend right here, but it failed. They liquidated and it pushed right there. So when I'm looking for the micro uptrend, this is a micro uptrend, this is a micro uptrend, and now this micro uptrend is failing, but then they might catch it right here and push it right back up just because of this level right here. That so there's change of character. So now we're changing the character right here, but the structure is down here. So when you start to see those tools say break a structure, change a character, let me turn on the algo. Let me see if it has an internal one. I don't think it has an internal. I might have to go to a 1 minute. Let's go look at the 1 minute. Let's see if it gives me it here. No, but I want to show you the breaker structure and all of that. I think I got the wrong. Oh no, this is 4. That's why. I do not have 5 on here. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me grab 5. So you see right here, breaker structure is because we made a micro trend up. It's failing. Structure is broken because this micro trend is failing. Now we're getting a change of character here. Why? Because as we're going onto that upside after making the break of structure, we change character before we break structure. So what are we looking for? Everything that kind of created this whole entire downtrend was breaking down all those micros over and over. So now they're looking for the break of structure, which would be probably somewhere around here. That would be a break of structure. somewhere around here might be a break of structure. It just depends on what the calculation of the math is. I don't know theirs, right? You see, we went from change a character to now change a character again. Why is that? Because we had a micro trend that changed this character at this level, and then exactly, and now we're starting to change the character to this downside. So change the character, change the character. That's when you get those consolidation, those annoying things that keep going back and forth, back and forth. But breaking of structure, that's why I'm a breakout trader. I love break of structure. That's when I start to hit everybody's stop losses, and that thing just starts to cascade. Here we go, right? Starting to get to that point. Mm-hmm. Correct. The 382 almost. So the zone between 236 and 382. Yeah. Now you see how we come. You see how we coming back up into here. Imagine if I was a bear, and that's why I say look at the psychology of what the traders could be doing. If I'm a bear and I know they just put this micro uptrend all through this, right? And I'm playing this down. That's a good candle. That's a good candle. That's a good candle. This is a good candle. When I get to this point, I know this is my target down here. I'm like 80% to 90% of my target. You could even say argue 99% of the target. What am I going to do? I'm going to tighten my stop loss. They're getting hit right here. That's why it's filling right back up. If you were outside the market, tweezer bottom. So you're like, oh, this is a nice little tweezer bottom. So that means this could be your order block that's going to hold this up. I won't be surprised if this next candle is going to be a green candle. And that's why you got to put all of them together. You got to put the candlesticks together, the confluences, like everything that you could think of that we went through those sciences. You got to look at it in that perspective. Like, okay, cool. I know this looks like this. If this does this, then I'll do that. If it doesn't do this, then I won't do that. And then that's it. And that's 90% of trading. Reacting to what you see, not just reacting to what you want. And I think a lot of traders, they do the reaction to what they want, and then they see what they want to see versus taking the trade as such. Like we just went through a whole entire change of character conversation. Just that alone was just all fundamental analysis. I'm sorry, technical analysis showing the basic fundamentals of how you read a chart. And we just saw it live in like what 10 minutes. Guess what? It's not a green candle. It's struggling to be that green candle. Does this give me confidence that this is going to be a reversal? No. There's a chance that this thing could go ahead and drop and finally make that new lower low. But it's not a predictive thing. It's more like your favorite weatherman on channel 7 or channel 4 or whatever it is. He's gonna be like, there's gonna be a 45% chance of showers of bears over here, but over here you're gonna get a nice little updrafts of bulls that's gonna push the market up. And then now when it comes to the clash where everything is kind of like giving that consolidation going back and forth, guess what ends up happening? Now you're gonna, well, you know what? It looks like the bears are taking over here, and now it's looking more like 60%. That's why when I first started trading, I was looking at hurricane patterns. It's the probability. It's a wide range when you first start, but then when you start to narrow it down from your top-down analysis, now you're like, all right, that's the entry because I expect it to be here by that time. And that's how I think. I know it's a little crazy. I know it was long-winded, but we might get lower lows here. Yeah, this is normal, Jeff. Because when I talk, it comes out like a fire hose because confluence is connecting all the dots. And in my head, I'm doing that. I'm like, well, this and this and this and this and this and this. Look at how that red candle just showed up right there. It's like bing, 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 bing. Oh, that part. Not if they understand. Are they patient enough to allow themselves to digest the understanding, because you got to be able to dissect that information properly. Because if you don't, if you're not patient and you rush into it, your comprehension of what's happening, you're gonna be like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. That's gonna be your first reaction, right? Especially when we first started trading, that was our reaction. But after we started understanding, like, anything can happen, Murphy's law, yeah, it's just all to the understanding. Why did it just do that? Oh, it did that because of this. Like, I just got my Kava alert. Me and a good friend of mine, we was talking about a level, and if it gets to that level, there's a chance that we should be taking some $100 calls. So I'm about to go check this chart out, and it looks like we're getting a nice little solid move through this entire fair value gap. So my question to this one is, since we made this high, aka break a structure, I don't even need the indicator no more, because I was looking for this break a structure. But now my stop loss is going to be trailed here on my $100 calls based on this trend line right here. What's my other confluence? Stochastic look like this. What's my other confluence? MACD is above the zero line. What's my other confluence? When I go over to the weekly, looks like they need to get out of the bearish state, and we're already here. If it pins this stochastic to the upside, then I might be able to get through this 50 EMA, and this is our weekly order block. But what else do you see in that weekly order block? Right? You got a nice little W that's forming between here, here, and here. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, I take a small loss because I'm trailing it to my trend line and just live to fight another day. And if you can get past that part, trading is easier. It's all about the ifs, right? Exactly, exactly. So let me he mm-hmm. That's I love Mike's. You know what? I'm gonna hit him up this week. Mike, the way he used to teach his classes was amazing, because he was very you know what? Who he remind me of? He remind me of Buster and Jason. The way he taught his classes. I don't care. It doesn't matter. That's why now, after all of my coaching and everything else, I try to remove my emotions out of it. Because if you really think about it, don't allow your emotions to come into play, because if the emotions there, then you're like, oh man, shoulda, coulda, woulda, and all this is not fair, and then the FOMO and all that stuff comes in. I don't know if you notice, like, as I talk and everything, I'm like, well, this is this is the plan, this is what we're doing, boom, 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 boom. Oh, I didn't. All right, I'm out. Next. And we got to get used to that, because that's what Mike was kind of doing. He was like, all right, folks, like in his teachings, he wasn't actually doing it like that. He was just basically saying, when this happens, then you do this. When this happens, then you do that, right? So when you're saying something to him and he sees it, he's like, well, I don't see anywhere where this makes sense if you just got in, you know? So that's the important factor out of all. So I would say he's a beast. I said all that to say he's a beast. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But if you think about it, the reason why you and Mike had conflict from the teaching and everything else was the fact that he was a scalper, but he only scalped with a certain strategy in itself. So if he can't see it inside of that strategy, you probably saw something, and I feel like we did that a lot when we first learned. We would look at the higher time frames, but going to the scalping time frames way too fast. And I try to slow that process down. Oof. Yeah. Look at what they're doing right now. Look what's going on with NQ. Oh, I just put in the video. No, NQ. Let's come back to this 5 minute. Look at how it's respecting it now. Coming back to that 1 minute as I was explaining. Now that mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. No, I understand. Yeah, and but that's exactly what it is. Like for example, this one right here. I already said 2 candle order block basically is what built here. And what did they do? They kept on reloading. We kind of got a nice little spike here, but we cannot change the character. We cannot break the structure. We cannot get out of its way. Why is that? Because we are at the bearish opening range line right here, and sellers are looking to sell. I don't care where the sellers came from. It doesn't matter. It could be sellers that was in from here and they caught this bounce, and it could be sellers that's outside the market and they couldn't wait to short it. Either way, sellers exist inside of this zone. Which side of the coin are you on? And we could probably consolidate for the rest of the day. But anyways, let me run out of here. I try to wrap up at 10:30. I want to say thank you very much for tapping in, and let me let YouTube go. Y'all have a great day. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Let me get y'all out of here.